Hello, and welcome to another chess video. This is Sakester. I decided for this video, instead of doing a live game, I will present to you the analysis of a game I played last week. I played at the Marshall Chess Club in New York, named after the amazing player Frank Marshall. And so this club is very strong. I played in the open section. Well, there was only one section. So basically, you can all rated players are in it from beginners to grandmasters. So it's a very tough field. Lots of 2000s and up titled players. And so the time control is 25 minutes to each player, with 5 seconds increment. 5-second delay. So basically, you have 5 seconds before your clock starts running. That way, you have time to write down the moves. So 25 minutes with 5-second delay is the time, which, if you're not familiar with chess times, it may seem like a lot of time, but it's actually very hard to play, and time pressure is very much a real thing with 25 minutes. It's of course faster than Blitz, but still very rapid time control. So anyway, I played at this 2150. I don't want to reveal his name because I feel weird revealing his identity on the internet, but he was rated 2150 in this game, and basically it was a complicated struggle. I think I defended pretty well for most of the game, and then the outcome of the game we will see. So he started with d4. I'm playing black, therefore the game's from my perspective. And so, pretty interesting move order stuff, but I won't go too much into the opening. This is called the Bogo Indian, but once again, I don't want to focus too much on the opening. White's idea is that he's blocking with the knight so that he can go, 1 second, like this, and then kick my bishop back. And if I take the knight, then he wins the bishop pair. So I play d5, and after he plays a3, I say, no, I'm not giving you my bishop. It may look like I wasted a tempo going back and forth over here, but I'm trying to say that your knight over here is not much better. So, just the opening. And c5 is where it gets interesting, so there's a lot of pressure in the center. I think black is more or less equal, but white seems to have more push. Just because he's white. He seems to be a tempo up, really. So queen e2, threatening e4, not so subtle. And so, in this sort of situation, the best way to prevent e4 from happening is just to stick a knight in. So now he can't play e4. Plays rook here, and here's where I had to make a crucial decision, and I did not make the most accurate choice. The computer, interestingly, and previous games by others who have played this, suggest that f5 is the best continuation from this position. Just strengthening that e4 knight, and play may follow, like rook c1, rook c8, normal positional stuff. Here you could just play king h8, and I think maybe white has a small plus here, but black is not complaining. So instead I played queen c7, and so we see what happens here. My queen gets a little bit misplaced because there's a rook facing it, and I did not come with a proper way to handle this threat. My idea was too slow. I want to play rook ac8, which is what I played, and duck my queen back here. And I just didn't see any other way to develop my queen. If I didn't play queen c7 earlier, I just didn't see a way to get my queen off of the back rank. So I guess with more experience, I will play better and more accurately. The computer suggests once again that f5 is the best continuation here. So f5 is a move that I didn't even really consider. So I played rook ac8, and he begins to open up the center. And I saw this, and I played knight takes d2. I was correctly afraid of takes b4, and now this pin is actually a factor. The computer after this wants to play here, and it says white and black are about equal, but f5 is not really a move that comes to mind in that position from the human perspective. One more line is that white can also just play knight d4, and so you always have tactics against this queen. Instead, I just chopped off that knight. He recaptured with the rook, and now we're playing with the hanging pawns position. Excuse me. So basically, these are called hanging pawns because they're kind of hanging together. And the theoretical question here is whether they are a strength or a weakness. If black is able to push them forward and make threats with them, then they are a strength. If white can suppress them and make sure that they can't move forward, then they become a weakness. So that is a theoretical struggle that is about to ensue. He played bishop f5. The immediate way to punish me and to gain an advantage was to play e4. Play might follow, putting my rook opposite the queen. Takes bishop d6, queen d1, bishop f4. Oh, this is actually a really funny computer line. I want to preface it with that. So if you were a computer, you would be able to see this whole line. So you would have foreseen the exchange sacrifice, because I just skewered those two rooks. And so the computer, being the almighty machine that it is, sees that this is extreme advantage for white. Now these bishops are looking monstrous, and all of white's pieces are looking at the black king. If you play g6, the attack continues, and we have threat of mate on g7. We have the knight coming in to threaten mate on h7, and suddenly there are a lot of colors around black's king, which is not good for black. So if you were a computer, you would see that. But I think, yeah, e5 is actually kind of hard to play if you do see bishop d6 and those consequences. He should have played e4, but he pinned my knight, which is more of a positional move. I play my rook here, and he played queen d3, provoking me to play a move that I would have done anyway, with g6. So we take, and I think that around here the position was getting sort of equal, that black was picking up steam again. So he played knight e5. So one thing I was looking at during the game was queen c3, immediately threatening mate on this square and on this square. The response would be then, well, it's funny. The computer says the only way for black to keep an advantage, and it's about minus 0.5, is to play f6. So what? Although this sort of move is very hard for the human to play, because you're just weakening your king, especially on this slight diagonal. But it has several points. It stops the knight from ever coming in. And I guess this pawn is amply protected by the bishop, but I don't think any human would play that. If you are out there and you would play it, you are a genius, probably. So the response would be d4, and there's just pure equality. Pure equality. In fact, black might even hope to have play with the bishop pair in the endgame. So that is what I counted on if he played queen c3. Instead, he played knight e5. I played queen e6, which is really the move that makes most sense. He played queen e2, and now I play queen b6, and I'm saying, hey, you have weak pawns too. He plays knight g4, and he says, take the pawn. I'm trying to get on these dark squares. Watch out for those checks. And that definitely is scary. And so I calculated for a long time here, and I got into severe time pressure after this move. And I did play the best response, which was d4. Of course, the point being that you can't take because the bishop. Although, even the exchange sacrifice is probably sound, because my dark squares are so weak. I wasn't even sure. I didn't even think that I was going to take one of the rooks. I just wanted my bishop here to protect both of these squares. Very complicated. So I played d4, and he went into a really big thing, because now I'm... Remember what we said about if black can push his pawns forward, then it becomes strength. I'm also blunting his bishop, and for the rest of the game I tried to keep that bishop out with my pawns. He thought for quite a long time himself, and he played f4, which positionally looks disastrous. But it has the simple point of preventing my bishop from coming to g5, which was the idea in the last line. So I played bishop f8, which was the best move given by the computer. Now both of these squares are defended. Keep in mind the queen is on b6. He took, and now I have an isolated pawn. We trade, and the computer says that at this point it's about -1, which is about a pawn up for black. But I also, at this point of the game, had like less than 1 minute left. I had like 50 seconds. So at this point I just started making moves, but I wish that I had more time so that maybe I could have converted this advantage. Let's see what I did, because the first move was good. Bishop a6, attacking the queen. Queen moved to f3, and then I played rook e8. Another the move to gain a really significant advantage was queen e6, with the same idea, except that I'm going on the file with the stronger piece. The threat, of course, is to check on e1 and to pick up this hanging rook on d2. So play could follow blocking with the queen, and then the computer, very greedy, just wants to take a pawn and says, "What do you got?" And so play may follow like this, and I mean I was foreseeing things like this, and with 1 minute left, it was very hard for me to really understand how I would convert this advantage. Although I have an extra pawn, it's on d4 and it's very weak and incredibly well blockaded. This would take a long time to actually convert into a win, and probably not a position where I can outplay a 2100. So so I played, instead of queen e6, which was the best move, I played rook e8 with the simple idea of checking on e1. Of course, this is checkmate if he does nothing about it. You keep that in mind. This would be checkmate. So he plays h3 sensibly, and I played rook e1. Now there's a really funny computer line that says this, and the pawn can never be taken just because of tactics. Black's initiative seems to be always just good enough. So you attack this and you attack that, and the computer line follows with knight g4. Of course, if you take, you don't want to take, because then this pawn is just extremely strong and supported by this bishop. So the computer says knight g4, leaving that rook, but jumping in onto these dark squares that are open. And so the computer says rook takes d2, take the rook sack, and I would never calculate this out, but check, and then you have to move into the line of the bishop, so check, sacrifice, taking the bishop, and sacrificing the queen, and you have 3 pieces for a queen, but you also have to see queen a8, and after king g8, queen takes a6, rook takes b3, computer says solid advantage for black. Now I don't know about you, but this position makes no sense to me, and it's very hard to play, especially if you have less than a minute on the clock. I just want to go over that quickly one more time because it's a really fun line to look at. So the move was d3, king h2, rook e2, knight g4, ignoring the rook threat, but check, check, winning the queen, and then this remarkable move, queen a8, king g8, takes, and somehow black is better. very hard to see over the board, probably impossible. Unless you're a grandmaster, I guess. So I played rook e1 check, which just destroyed my whole advantage. But at this point, I was looking for a draw. So I just wanted to say, let's trade my d4 pawn for your b3 pawn. So what happened there was, we traded this pawn for that pawn. So trade, and then he goes knight g4, which is a thematic threat in this game, coming in for these dark squares. And at this point, I blundered. With about 15 seconds left on my clock, I played bishop g7. Otherwise, it was completely equal. But bishop g7, knight check. I took, and he took, and I resigned. What I missed, of course, was when I looked at this, I would have never taken, but I hallucinated it and I thought I had h5 to prevent mate. But by the way, the mate threat is this. But I completely missed that after h5, check, this mates. So I resigned in this position. Just to go over the game really quickly, just want to talk about the main points. A little recap, the Bogo Indian. So I thought it was a good idea to show a game that I lost, so that I'm not coming on YouTube and just being like, hey guys, I beat a 1600, here's my game. So next time I think I will present you with a game that I win, in order to make up for this. So we have this hanging pawns position. Are they a strength or weakness? g6. We're about equal here. And I think once I got d4 in, black was breathing again. He plays f4. Here, takes. And it's very hard to judge this kind of position with no time. I really didn't understand whether this d4 pawn was a strength or a weakness. But it seems, in hindsight, to have been very, very real strength. So then I just did nothing and tried to trade into a draw. And then I failed to do that, too, with bishop g7. So knight check, takes, and resigned. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, please subscribe, like, comment, do anything you want. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks.